Hi there everybody, welcome back to Prestige Auctions. It's auction aftermath time again when we have a quick look at what happened in yesterday's big sale, our biggest general sale ever we believe, and tell you the highs and lows of the auction, what happened, what made the money, what didn't make the money, and some hints and tips as well on how you can maybe start making some money from house clearance auctions in the future. So of course yesterday was 1,568 lots, something like that. It was huge. I mean, in theory, it should have took us till about 8 o'clock. We managed to get it wrapped up by 5:15, which was huge. I mean, it's a huge effort by the whole team. Tom injured himself as well on the way to work or before work, and so everyone sort of went up in the air a little bit. So we was tested on quite a few things yesterday, but you know what? What a great sale. The amount of people that came in and left commission bids on Friday, a very busy room all day, and then the amount of people that turned up for the auction. New faces as well, which was always good to see, and lots of people, lots of bidding, and everyone seemed to have a good time. So without further ado, let's have a look at what happened in this auction. 1,560 lots, so there's quite a few to get through, but we're not going to look at them all, of course. We started off quite good with the little badger and the beaver or the otter and things and that. These bits were selling for just a few pounds. There wasn't much money in it. This is the surprise to me. These Staffordshire Terriers, 30 quid I think these were again yesterday. For weeks, well, for years, we've been struggling to sell these things, and all of a sudden there's bids all over the place for them. Something is clearly changing in the marketplace there, where people are looking for this kind of thing. Also, the dogs there, they sold okay. Some of the coloured glasses, you know, possibly Scandinavian. I'm not 100% sure on that, but they weren't making great money, you know, sort of 8 quid, 10 quids, whatever. We had a lot, I think the last lot this week of the Asian wares as well. Railway lamp there, what a beautiful piece this was. And again, bids in the room for it and on commission. I believe it was £34, something like that. So do you know what though? Still money in that if you're a reseller, and it's got the right amount of wear as well. Having them in immaculate condition isn't what everybody's looking for. Flatbacks, they never sell for good money these days, and they didn't either. West German planters there, okay money again, and there was one or two. See, there's another one. So this Rumtopf jar, you know, I think it was 3 or 4 quid. I think the last one we did was 30 odd quid. It doesn't make sense sometimes, but that's why you need to be at the auction every week, because some weeks the bids are there, some weeks they're not. If you're at the auction every time, you pick up them bargains. The little copper jugs there, or the measurers, whatever they are, there's always bids for stuff like that, and this did a few quid as well, and you know, they went through a period where they weren't that popular as well, and again, people seem to be buying this sort of thing. Then we got onto the mixed boxes of things. Oh, let me just check that off there. And then the mixed boxes, of course, do generate various sort of sums. But these are the ones you can buy as a reseller and be able to make some money on. This one here, the Eternal Bow, that did okay again yesterday. Again, another one of these pieces where for quite a long time there's been no money, then all of a sudden the money's coming up for it. We had sort of Mario and sort of all members of his family, I think, there. As you can see, the Jack Daniels ones did some money. And we did struggle on one or two of the Mario ones, but they did sell in the end. So considering the amount of lots that we had in yesterday's sale, there wasn't really a whole lot of, not compared to normal, wasn't a whole lot of not solds. This was quite an interesting piece. This one here, the Apple. So of course this is old Apple stuff. This is from back in the day. And this made £100, and there was more on the book for that. So someone will be quite pleased, I think, with the price that they got for that one. And again, few bids on the book for it as well, because people like the old-fashioned stuff. You know, this stuff, these are the collectibles of the future. So, you know, buy them now while you can still afford them, because the price is only going to go up. That was a shock to me, the money that made. I seem to think it was high 100 and something, 170, 180, was it? Loads of money around for that piece there, and which was good. And there was several pieces like that in the sale. And then, of course, there was the Bulls Pizzles, which apparently are exactly what they say they are. And these are dog treats, apparently. And all of those sold as well. And they sold at reasonable money as well. So I think they're about 12 quid a case, something like that. So there's quite a few of those. And then there was some old Meccano that sold. Shoes were selling as well. You know, some real surprising bits. That's what happens, though, when you've got an auction room full of people. There are always going to be surprises. The number 7 gift sets, they were quite cheap at about £8, something like that. So again, seller tip there. You look at number 7 stuff in the shop, it's not cheap. So you could have bought those, maybe got a bit of profit on Vinted or eBay. When you come down here, lots of snooker cues and things, they were all selling. This one here was a box of hip flasks. They sold okay as well. I think about £10 or £12 on those. And then we had lots of assorted costume jewellery that had come from one house. We just made a few pounds each for those, you know, not loads of money. This one here, this is an interesting one. So this clock, miniature inlaid, stunning condition. Really a hell of a lot of work that have gone into this. You know, it made £80 it made yesterday, but I can tell you that there's already some work going on for that one. Yeah, so with this clock, there's already people that are coming into the auction going, they'd like to buy it. So there's people trying to make other people offers and stuff that have already bought stuff, which happened last week in the auction room, to be honest. And that's quite an interesting thing that can happen. You know, you can be sat in an auction room, somebody gets a bit upset because they didn't win something. Next thing, they're offering you loads of money for it. So, you know, sometimes them offers are worth listening to. So that was a nice piece as well. Some of the Toby jugs and things, not loads of money. And then, of course, we got to this piece here. Well, you know, this is a nice piece of Minton Majolica. It's a nice item in terms of the colour, the faces on it, everything about it is nice. However, it did have damage, and it had some damage to the base. And to look at it, you can't really see the damage, but it was there on the base and it had been repaired. Now, in an ideal world, yeah, I think this could have done 700 to 1,000 quid, maybe a touch more if it had been in pretty good condition. But with that bit of damage, it brought the price down. Although I only see it at sort of 200 to 300, I think it made sort of between £400 and £500 in the auction yesterday. And so somebody loved it, and that's all it takes. Or well, more than one person loved it because the bids went up. So nice piece that. I'm sure the family will be happy with that one that we sold for them. As we come down, there was lots of bits and bobs, lots of mixed boxes. The first section of sort of separates and hi-fi equipment didn't do that well. Not much money around for those, but there was money around for cassettes yesterday as well. Lots of people were buying those, especially into the Elvis stuff. We sold all this Elvis memorabilia, which was, you know, sort of overshoot from the Elvis auction that we did. And, you know, some of it did okay, some of it didn't do a fortune, but we do have to accept that the Elvis market is not super strong anymore, you know, unless it's the high-end gear. And there's lots and lots of Elvis stuff that came out. The crisps, of course, sold, and, you know, I mean, let us know what you think in the comments here. We have probably had an opportunity or two to be able to sell some wholesale food through the auction rooms, as in boxes of crisps, cases of Coke and stuff like that. Is it something you'd like to see? Is it something we could put in every now and then, maybe 50 lots or something? Let us know in the comments what you think on that one. Maybe something we could do. This one was a nice piece as well. The old Bromleys, of course, anyone that can remember Bromleys of Grimsby, you know, these old stoneware bottles, you know, 1937, look at that. But it was in such good condition. I think that made £30-40, which wasn't totally unexpected because you don't see them that often. As we come down, we got onto sort of the mixed items, some boxes of mixed cutlery and things, some more cassettes, and then of course there was the scary doll in the background there. These all sold, and then these camera systems sold, and then we got onto some of these. Some of these were doing some money as well this week, which is, you know, the Winston Churchill one always does a few quid. I think he did 10 or 12 quid or whatever it was, and then that was a piece of Isle of Wight glass, and then these shelves here were doing 30 odd quid a shelf, which I'll be honest, that surprised me a touch. I didn't think they was going to do as well as that. There was a bit of a battle on for the Thunderbird 2 there, and somebody walked away happy with that. I think that was Nigel. And then this one here, The clear crystal lustres there, they did over £100, I think it was. So you often see the lustres not always in as good a condition as these ones. The droplets are really good, but what you often find is that they're coloured, and these clear ones you don't see as often. So there was plenty of action for that from the dealers. These pieces here, all of this stuff was selling well. Even these, were making a few bob this week. So the Lorna Bailey jug, that sold at sort of 30-40 quid, which is what I expected, but the actual vase next to it didn't do as well, which shocked me a little. But again, it's not as sought after as the other bits. Somebody bought the little bit of the little dish there, the Noritake one, the trinket dish, and then of course there's a bit of Royal Ducks, the hippo there, that made a few bob. And then the Guinness stuff all sold, in varying prices. Some was cheap, some wasn't. I don't mind admitting I bought that one for the challenge this week, that one there. So that one's going to be talked about sometime in the future, I would have thought. And then the little musicians sold. And then as you come down here, we got onto tins and various items of interesting bits that were on the glass cabinet. And then, of course, we got on to this here, which was one of the things that I featured in a video this week on YouTube, which was the old 6 Air music box, Victorian, in good working order as well. A beautiful little piece, just a stunning little thing. The mechanics, everything about it was nice. I think it did about £250-300, something like that. So again, another nice item making the money. Then we came into the jewellery cabinet, and then first of all we started off with this nice silver tray, weighed about 350 grams. I think it did. It certainly did over scrap, but again, nice piece. And then you got onto all these pieces of silver. Well, all of this silver that was in the sale this week was nice stuff. It had all come from a nice property. That little powder puff there, the glass base, the silver top, the little trinket dishes there in sterling silver, this lovely little silver fronted hymn book, just nice pieces. Silver clock, the silver backed ebony mirror, which is quite nice because you're not supposed to be selling ebony. Well, you can't, and I'm sure you can't use ebony anymore. I'm sure obviously the old pieces are okay, but there's some silver spoons there as well, some silver knives, the silver dressing table set, and then more silver spoons and the silver coin set. I think that did about £120-130, that one. And again, nice piece. So we then headed through one or two of these watches that was there. I think they all sold. And then we got onto the silver Britannias. They made some money. The old glasses, the silver bits and bobs of jewellery. And then we had some medals and medallions and things. And as you come down here, you started getting onto some more of the jewellery as well. Sorry about that break in the recording there. I got called away for something. Right, okay, so lots of the jewellery was doing okay. There was some nice bits and bobs in there. Then we got onto these silver crowns, and do you know what? There was a bit of a fight on for some of these. Some of these silver crowns were, I think they had a £28 reserve on these. They were good condition coins, and one made up to £60. So the money in the room for those, and they all sold as well. So it just shows you that people are getting involved with this sort of thing. One or two of the pieces of jewellery I thought were relatively cheap, but it all did around the money that it should have been doing. You just hope sometimes that there might be a little bit more money for design and things, but they're certainly doing scrap money and so on. So, of course, the big silver charm bracelet did a few quid, as they always do, because people know to split them down. It's one of the things we've talked about a lot in the auction room, especially on some of our tutorial videos. The little medals there, they were okay as well, because they were mercantile marine, basically merchant navy that was operating and doing services during the First World War. When they got these medals, all that was printed on the side was the name. Of course, there was no rank number or service number, because they weren't actually, they weren't actually in the services as such, but they were doing the war effort, so to speak. So that was nice at the original envelope, and that I think they did sort of £55, something like that, from what I remember. As we came down, we started getting onto the main room, and there was all sorts of prices. I mean, there's so many people in the room that lots of people were bidding on stuff. I can't remember what the telly did now. Was it about 20 odd quid, something like that. I'll have to have a look at that because, of course, we did that in one of our other videos where we covered that off to see what it would make. Again, but a nice thing, it was in working order, and you're not going to find too many like it these days. All of the hat boxes sold, and people were after those. And then when you look down here, you've got all of this stuff here. You had these little musicians there. They sold okay, and all of the lots of the electronics and stuff. I don't know if you can hear Lisa shouting in the background there. She's obviously shouting about something or other. Oh no, she's laughing now. That's always good. So here we had the Scale Electric Digital. Now I don't see many of these yet because they're a relatively modern thing. But the Scale Electric Digital, I think that did £50, that one. So again, against most of the Scale Electrics that sort of make 20 odd quid, if that, £50 was a good price for that one, I think. As we come down here, we got onto some of the better separates, and these were doing more money. This was one of my favourite pieces again in the auction, this lovely barometer, and I can't quite remember what that one did. I want to say 50 odd pounds, something like that. Pictures and things. Then you had these nice posters. Is it Astro? Not. God, I forgot the name now. Anyway, whatever they are, they was doing okay. Always plenty of money for that sort of thing though, because people do like it. These sold for about £40-50 as well. Again, nice modern pieces, but particularly decorative. As we come down here, you've got more cases and then boxes of assorted and stuff. And then when you come around here, we got on some of the gaming. Now, Lisa had taken over at this point, and I was sort of half listening, but I was also busy doing other things. So Lisa was selling all this, so I'm not 100% sure of the prices. I do know it was all selling, though, and she was getting some fair prices. There was a lot of commissions on the book, as we said. So when you come down here, she was selling all this. I didn't see any of this sell, so I really don't know how it did. Anyway, I know she sold all the cuddly toys again, which is great, getting rid of those. And then she got on to some of the Bang & Olufsen stuff. Well, some of the Bang & Olufsen stuff I could hear in the background was making fair money, which is good. But it's good quality gear. You know, that's why it's making money. It's not making money because it's rubbish. It's making money because it's a top name and it's good quality. The electronic stuff and that was selling okay. Don't know what she got for these though. These tough books this week, I don't think they made a whole lot, but you know, they're very out of date. They're not really something that people are using anymore. So people will use them, I suppose, or maybe they're just a bit collectible now. Then we got onto the mixed boxes, and the mixed boxes, well, it was a mixed bunch. All this stuff is quite modern. None of it's really have got any age to it. Not massively collectible, but people will buy it for decorative purposes. Some of it was making good money, some of it wasn't. Of course, Lisa carried on auctioneering right through all the CDs, and then I did sort of notice stuff like this that was selling, like these lovely plates. I think they did £30 odd from what I remember, and then I think I did ask about this one after the sale because I loved it, and I got called away just before. I was probably going to have a bid on it, but she said it was about £90 for the TG green polo pattern, which you don't see that often. But it's a Royal Albert down there and some lovely things in cutlery and boxes. And again, I wanted to have a go at that. I don't know what that made, but a nice thing. We then got onto the pictures in the back room, and I think I'd taken back over at this point. And so thank you to Lisa for giving me a couple of good breaks yesterday. So obviously it was a long day. These were quite interesting. There was plenty of bids in the room for these. Lots of people getting excited about these. They'd been quite nicely presented, these. You know, you got the Ronaldo and the Messi there, and which probably going to do a separate video on anyway. As you come down here, you had all the Rastafarian type masks, and they were like £3 each. They were super cheap, I thought. And then there was a bit of a fight on for this, and ultimately I ended up winning it because we wanted the clapperboard there for our podcast for a bit of fun. And but I had to pay for it, that's for sure. Thanks, Tammy. Anyway, as we go down here, we moved on to all the mixed boxes, and the back room was a bit of a mixed lot this week. There was some money for some stuff, but there was not a lot of money for others. And And that could possibly be just down to, well, was the stuff really that good in them? Not sure. Or was it a case of there's just that much choice in the auction that people were being choosy about what they were buying? What I do know is these all did well. As when we got onto these boxes of toys were selling well this week. Again, they come from an out-of-town company that doesn't really doesn't really go through stuff and take stuff out. They put it in as they get it. So these boxes of die-cast, they were all selling nicely. But again, the big boxes, there's plenty of stuff in them. So they're doing 10, 15 quid a box, some 20s, I think. And then as you come down here, we started heading into the back room. Well, the back room had some wonderful tools in it this week, and these sort of little router sets and planes and things like that, they were all doing fair money because they are expensive to buy. They're not cheap pieces. People aren't necessarily just buying this stuff to sell it on. People are buying it because it's cheaper to buy it in an auction room than it is to go into the shops and buy it. The Lazy Susan sold. These sort of tool tidies, or the dartboards sold. A lot of the stuff in this room did sell. So if you was into tools, there was some good stuff in there, and I'm sure some people, I know one or two people were telling me after the auction they were happy with what they've bought, and they'd got some real bargains, which is good. That's what the auction is all about: getting down, getting involved, getting buy-in, and saving money or making money, whichever it may be. Anyway, we got onto the bikes. Bikes all sold okay. Some of the plant pots, some of these struggled a little bit, and because I know I've just seen someone going on the van for disposal. As we come down here, more bikes that were selling, bundles of tools, and then of course we got, as we started heading towards the main room, that made a few quid, that one there, but quite a nice decorative piece. Again, you're probably going to pay £150 for that in a shop, I would have thought, and I think someone probably got it for about £25-30. So as we came onto the front table, we had all the DS's, the little game and watch and game, or whatever it's called, multi-screen Donkey Kong by Nintendo, that made £40 quid, I believe. And then the front table stuff, £100 for the PlayStation games this week, for the PlayStation 1 games, with more on the book as well. And then we got 30-40 quid for the Mega Drive games. The Royal Albert was a bit cheaper this week. The hand did go up in the end. The little train set did okay. There was a pile of ephemera there, and then the little ukulele banjo thing, and all the other bits as well. Also, these little padlocks and things, they sold all right. There was money for interesting pieces this week. And then we had the barometer, and then the clocks and different things. There's just so much. This little suitcase of assorted, there was money for that as well. The little Noritaki set was cheap. Here was one of the surprises. I think this was 200 or 300 quid from what I remember. This beautiful little wind-up toy. You just don't see them like that anymore, and it was in working order as well. We had the GRIMSBY trawlers there, the suitcase of assorted, some more wind-up toys, and then the Jolly money bank there. That wasn't expensive this week. That was quite cheap. And then we had the Nutcracker, I believe, after that, which made a few quid. The military hat as well, that was making a few bob. Then the Game Boy games weren't expensive. Nintendo Wii stuff and that, PlayStation 2 stuff. As you went through all of this gear here, it was doing what you would expect it to do. White goods and TVs were cheap this week. There was no money in the room for those, cheap as. And then we got onto the furniture, and some of the furniture, well, it was mixed bunches, really. Some of it did really well, some of it didn't. The things to point out, this one here, if you looked here, just at the top there was the boar's heads. That was quite a nice piece, that one. Makes me wonder if that was ex-council or something like that. But obviously it made its way in somebody's home. And then you had, trying to pick out some of the other pieces that did quite well. But there were bargains. There were real bargains in the furniture. If you was looking, that did about £30 that table there, the display table, and then these were quite expensive as well. I think they did about 20-30 quid each, something like that. So again, somebody would be well happy with that. And then of course the big bench, the big pew bench there, 3 meters long, that did a few bob as well. But again, it's never going to make as much as it possibly could because it's so hard to move. Those sort of things are difficult to move around. This one here was a big surprise, £200 or £300, I think that one was as well. And but again, it's an auction. It's what people do. People bid, and people know what they want to buy. They know what the price they want to go to, and that's what they do. So as we came down to the final few lots, the Super Mario chair, that one's sold. And then as we come up here, you want a really nice little chair. And then you ended up the sale, I believe, with the sewing box there. Well, wow, what a sale it was. 1,568 lots. Prestige's biggest ever general sale. And we got it smashed in by 5:15, which was absolutely amazing. I've got to say a massive thank you to the team for this week, for turning it round, putting on such a great sale. With a few problems that we had, we managed to get through it, get it done. And there you go. But the biggest thank you of always is to you guys for watching in, coming down, bidding, and all the rest of it. We love seeing you down here at Prestige Auctions. We love you watching our stuff on YouTube as well. If you do enjoy the content that you see on YouTube, then of course please do give us a thumbs up. And if you get time, hit that subscribe button, or maybe consider becoming a member as well. £3 a month, and then you get extra footage as well. Thanks ever so much, everybody, and we'll see you all again very soon at Prestige Auctions.